Right, so an introduction to custom content templates. Just to remind you of what these are, they're where you're actually constructing the HTML yourself. So there are some cheating ways around it where you can get some of the boilerplate HTML code generated. But to tackle this, you're probably going to want some level of HTML knowledge because you are actually essentially writing the web page. To remind you, they are very useful in assuring conformity. So let's say, for example, you were the HTML specialist at your particular business, the web developer. You could write the HTML to a really beautifully laid out page, and you would, in your custom content template, replace certain bits with variable information. Let's say one which is a description of a product, a link to a YouTube video, stuff like that. What that then means is that if someone who doesn't have that specialist coding knowledge wants to then build a load of products, you can ensure that they're going to be always using the same format because they can select that content template over and over and over again. And the only bits that they have the ability to change are the bits that you specifically specify to change. So the description, for example. Okay, another caveat of this, although creating these custom content templates, and I will show you in a moment, is available to all users, the content template tab that you need to utilize is not enabled on platforms by default. So if you go searching for it and can't find it, that's why. If you do want to play around with this, then you'll need to put a request in with our customer support team, and they'll grant you access to the content templates tab. Please do bear in mind, and I do have to put this kind of disclaimer in there, the custom content templates will not be covered as part of your general support plan because it's kind of covered as classed as custom coding. Whilst we're able to create or troubleshoot custom content templates for you, this would class as consultancy within our professional services team. Okay. Right, so that's kind of what I was talking about before. So let's actually go in and create one of these very quickly and see what we can do. So if you're wanting to do this yourself later on, as part of those resources I've given you the ability to download, I have included some basic boilerplate code in there for you. So you can just get started with this nice and easily. So what I'm going to do is just open that boilerplate code and then I'm just going to copy that. Next, I'm going to navigate to my actual content templates tab. This is the one that you'll need support to activate for you. This gives you a list of all of the different content templates that you have available. Any that are custom will have this edit button on the bottom, and you can create a brand new one by clicking add new up on the top right. Give it a name. Enable it if you want your users to be able to actually select this in the list of templates. And then click on save. Now, before we actually start populating this, we need to specify where this content template is going to be available. So, for example, if you're making one which is specifically related to product landing page layout, you're not going to want it to be available everywhere. So you can specify that it's purely available on product, for example. In our case, we'll do it just so it's on these content pages. So we can just click content pages. You can select multiple if you want it available in multiple places. And then save that as well. Okay, so what we've got here in the general tab is the interface for actually generating these content templates. We'll start off with HTML markup. This is where we're actually going to put our boilerplate code. So the one I've given you, for example, I'm just going to copy and paste that in here. And all this essentially is an incredibly basic web page. So just to give you some context as to what that is, I'm just going to save that. And then on our content page that we were making before, let me just close some tabs down so I've got some space. Where we select the content template to use, I can now select that custom template we've made. At the moment, there's no other options because we haven't specified anything yet, but we can still look at how that boilerplate code appears on our page. So that is our boilerplate code. Nothing's dynamic in there at the moment. What this page essentially is, it's a very basic example. It's going to be an articles page where you can add multiple different entries of this article section here. So if you want to add article 1, article 2, article 3, and so on. At the moment, this is completely static. So let's start making some of that variable. Okay, so scrolling down, we have this fields option here. Now, this is the stuff, the areas that we want to make variable or to do some additional work on. So we'll start off really basic. On our page here, which currently is in the same color as the background, which doesn't help, we've got some information which is going to be the last updated date. So in our basic example, all we want our customer to be able to do here is type in the current date. So it shows when it was last updated. Nice and easy. So if I create a new field in here, I type in the field name. So I'll say last updated. And then we've got various different field types that we can choose from. So this is things like text boxes, image uploads, check boxes, WYSIWYGs, all sorts of different things you can play around with, different element types. We'll keep this nice and simple as a text box. Click create. Now we do have some additional options in here, which I've not got time to cover right now, unfortunately. But the most important thing to note is that we have this generated placeholder. Excuse me. And all we want to do is to place that placeholder inside our boilerplate code where we want that dynamic information to be. So if I take that last updated, including the percentage marks, take a look through my boilerplate code, and then I'm just going to directly replace that static text with that placeholder. I'm also going to make it so that the background is white, or the text is white, just so we can actually see what it is. Okay, so we'll use that as an example. So I'm going to save that. Go back to where I'm actually utilizing the content template and refresh it. And you can see now, because I've created that variable field, I have last updated available in my content template. And this is all of my configurator. Brain just went completely. This is all they will be able to see and all they'll be able to put things into. So if I say, for example, oh, okay, this was last updated today, so the 16th of the 8th, 23. Save that. Take a look at my actual page itself, and you see, there it is. There's our date. Now we're short on time, so what I want to show you next is something called a repeater. Now this is how we would make it so that we're actually able to duplicate this section over and over again very, very easily without having to copy and paste sections of code. So the first thing we want to do is to add a new field in here, which is called a repeater. And I'll call this article section, for example. Now, our repeater has its own code section at the bottom. So you can put some additional boilerplate code in here and then some additional nested fields. Now, again, we start making nested blocks here. So we can specify a piece of code that's going to be possible to repeat over and over again. and then specify things within that repeatable code, which are again variable. So to do this, I'm just going to take a section of my original boilerplate code, and I'm going to instead put it into that repeatable section. So if memory serves, I think it's just this section here. I'm going to take that away and put it in the nested section for the repeater. Now, if I go and have a look at that on our actual page again, at the moment, I shouldn't see any difference. Oh, clearly I've done that wrong. Let's see. Oh, I know why. Okay, so what we need to do, there is a bit of additional configuration to do first. We need to specify what those nested configurable sections are going to be. So I've got a few different bits of information I might want to be configured in there. I think I had an image, I had a title. As we're short on time, let's do a very basic section. So article title, for example. I can say add new field. This is within our nested repeater. I'll make that a text box. And then just as we did before with the higher level boilerplate code section, we just want to replace the relevant section of code. I might do the same with the summary. And then I think there's an image in here as well. So let's try that. So if I add an image, and then again, just place the placeholder where the link for the image would go inside the HTML code. Now I am rushing this slightly, so hopefully I've configured it correctly. But I'm going to save this. Refresh our content template as it's being used. And now you can see that we have this article section with an add new section or an add new button. And it's because this is a repeatable section, we can add multiple versions of that. So you can see there, I've clicked it twice. I've got two sections of the same inputs. So let me fill this in quickly. So article 1, blah, blah, blah. Upload an image. Article 2, upload an image. I'll save that, refresh my page, and it doesn't want to work. Okay, so in my own haste to get this done, I've probably just messed up a bit of the boilerplate code slightly whilst I've been copying and pasting. So my apologies for that. But hopefully it's quite a nice little introduction on how you can utilize content templates effectively.